Hi, this is my Celestia audio for a script that I downloaded from the Celestia Motherlode site. I was first interested in the script titled the Zodiac, so that's the one that I looked into. The script is actually divided into 3 parts. I'm going to be showing you the first part, which talks about the history and astronomical background that's relevant to understanding Zodiac, everything that has to do with Zodiac. So, the very beginning of the script starts with the sun and talks about how the sun, in relation to other stars that we see from Earth, is very important to the whole zodiac system. It goes on to talk about how ancient cultures, and even up until the Middle Ages, believed that the Earth, depicted here, was the center of our universe. This is called a geocentric worldview. So we see the sun and other planets orbiting around the sun, also orbiting around the Earth. We believe that this theory originated with Aristotle, and it really wasn't changed or challenged up until the 16th century. We became more advanced. Astronomers tried to really think about the science behind our whole universe and solar system, and they came up with the heliocentric view. Which it should be showing us here soon. I think I might advance this slightly. Yeah. Alright, so now we see the sun at the center and all the planets orbiting around it, which is the heliocentric worldview. This is what we believe to be true today. The video next goes on to zoom in on the sun. This is moving very fast. Well, first we're going to see a whole overview of our planets, and now we're going to zoom in on the sun, and it talks about a barycenter. And this was a new term for me. I've never heard of the barycenter actually, so I did a quick Google search, went to this NASA site that I believe is for kids, and it talks about how it's commonly thought that the sun is the center of our universe, but our common center of mass is called the barycenter. So this explains center of gravity, barycenter in our solar system. So that's what the Celestia model is showing, our barycenter. Now it's going to talk about how the sun and Earth are moving with respect to each other on this elliptical plane. This would be a view of the Earth from the sun. And now we're going to be seeing a view of the sun from the Earth, which is what we see. The sun traces out the path for each day, obviously, and for each annual year. So in the background we see the zodiacs, constellations labeled and outlined, and the zodiac denotes the annual cycle that the sun goes through. And it's thought that this is an ideology that's more than 5,000 years old. I just think it's awesome that it's still something that we refer to today, as far as astrology. So the sun was, this whole view was divided into these 12 equal zones that roughly represent a month's time. And the sun would travel through each sign basically in a month, starting with Aries, and it would also start the year basically at the spring equinox for the northern hemisphere. And this is cool because Aries is actually my constellation, or my zodiac, so feeling a little special that that's where the whole year would start. So here we see the sun going throughout the year and passing through each of the zodiacs: Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. All of these constellations are supposed to represent either living souls or animals. Like Leo, for example, would be representing a lion. Virgo represents a virgin. You know, it was important to whatever mythology that culture tied the constellation to. The constellations vary in size. Obviously, they're not all equal, so they don't exactly. The sun will not exactly be in each section for a month, and we see these actually overlap. Pisces is very large. And so now we're back to Aries. And now the video is going to make an interesting point that in ancient times, the spring equinox, our sun resided in Aries, but throughout the years, that's changed. And now, at the spring equinox, the sun actually will reside in Pisces. The spring equinox point comes towards the sun at a rate of about 50.3 seconds of arc each year. So now our spring equinox points, is in Pisces. So I thought that was interesting. And the video goes on to say that during the years, the sun will seem to advance and begin even farther, like in Aquarius. So now it's going to be explaining the advance of the spring equinox point. The equinox is the moment in time the center of the sun is directly above the Earth's equator. So where there's equal day and equal night. At that moment, the sun is at one of the two opposite points of our celestial sphere. So currently our Earth, as we know, has an axial tilt of about 23.5 degrees. And our Earth's tilt tends to vary between 22.1 and 24.5 degrees over a 41,000 year period. So this means that it's a slow, continuously changing orientation, and this movement is actually caused by the gravitational forces of the sun and moon, and that they have on our equatorial bulge, because our Earth is not a perfect sphere. So now it's going to show the Earth spinning and have this kind of wobble like a spinning top would. And this line coming from essentially the North Pole is going to create this cone shape. So the exact direction, the exact point of north changes, and it's going to be changing the pole stars that we see. So now we are seeing Earth from the North Pole, and now we're seeing the stars from the North Pole. Around the year 28,000 BC, Thumbin was actually the North Star, but right now Polaris is our North Star. So it's now going to highlight future North Pole stars, which would be here in the year 4145, here in the year 7530. I accidentally paused the video, my recording, and ended it there, but that was essentially the end of what I wanted to show you. It goes on to explain how our South Pole, the star that our South South Star, I guess, would also change because of this wobbling tilt, creating this cone shape. And because of this changing of our north and south stars, the exact location of when we see the sun compared to the zodiac constellation will also change. But in astrology, Aries is always the first sign, even though essentially the spring and beginning sign would be right now in Pisces, and in the future would be, it would move along through other zodiac signs. So this zodiac script gave a lot of interesting history for me. Talked about the Berry Center, which is something I'd never heard of, and also just gave me background information about how our constellations were set up and originally seen, and how it's actually changing. So, thank you for watching.